It was the night before Halloween, and everyone in the small town of Black Hollow knew the story of the old manor perched on the hill. Black Hollow Manor had been abandoned for decades, its windows dark and lifeless, its walls slowly crumbling with time. Yet, the house was never truly silent. Every 10 years, on Halloween night, someone from the town disappeared without a trace, and the town's residents believed the manor was responsible. Mysterious occurrences and eerie legends surrounded the house, and those who dared to go near it claimed to hear faint whispers carried on the wind, or catch glimpses of strange lights flickering in the windows, despite there being no electricity in the house for years. Most people in town avoided it at all costs, but this year marked the 10th anniversary of the last disappearance, and the curiosity among the younger generation began to grow. 3 friends, Mia, Jake, and Olivia, were drawn to the mystery. They weren't like the others in Black Hollow who believed the legends, at least, that's what they told themselves. The trio, bored with the usual Halloween pranks and parties, decided this year they would do something different. They would explore Black Hollow Manor. Mia, the fearless one of the group, had proposed the idea. "We'll be legends," Mia said, grinning. "Everyone's too scared to go up there, but if we do it, people will talk about us for years." Jake, always up for an adventure, nodded in agreement, though there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Olivia, however, wasn't so sure. "What if the stories are true?" she whispered. "What if something really is in that house?" Mia laughed it off. "Come on, Liv. It's just an old, creepy house. The scariest thing we'll find in there is probably a bunch of cobwebs." Against her better judgment, Olivia agreed, and the 3 set off toward the manor just as the last light of day began to fade. The walk to Black Hollow Manor was eerie in itself. The wind howled through the trees, and the forest path was shrouded in mist. Even the moon, full and pale in the sky, seemed dim, as if it, too, was afraid to fully shine on the haunted house. Every step they took seemed to echo in the silent night. "We'll be fine," Mia said confidently, though she tightened her grip on the flashlight. As they approached the rusted iron gates of the manor, a chill ran through the air. The gate, which hadn't been touched in years, creaked open as if it had been waiting for them. Mia led the way, pushing the gate with effort, and the 3 stepped onto the overgrown path that led to the front door. The house loomed before them, its towering structure casting long shadows in the moonlight. Mia, determined to prove her courage, was the first to push open the heavy wooden door, which groaned under the strain. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and decay, and the temperature seemed to drop even further. The grand entrance hall had once been magnificent, with a high, vaulted ceiling and an elegant staircase, but time had not been kind to Black Hollow Manor. Dust coated every surface, and cobwebs hung like curtains in the corners. The dim beam of Mia's flashlight flickered over the peeling wallpaper, revealing faded portraits that seemed to watch them as they entered. "Let's split up and explore," Mia suggested, trying to sound brave, but her voice trembled slightly. "I'm not sure that's a good idea," Olivia said, her eyes darting around the room. Jake, trying to lighten the mood, chuckled nervously. "What? Afraid we'll run into the ghost of the old owner? Maybe he'll offer us tea." Mia rolled her eyes. "Come on, we'll cover more ground this way. Jake, take the west wing. Olivia, you take the library. I'll check upstairs." Reluctantly, the group agreed and went their separate ways. As Mia climbed the grand staircase, each creak of the steps seemed louder, more menacing, and she felt an inexplicable sense of being watched. The feeling grew stronger the higher she climbed, but she pressed on, determined not to show fear. Meanwhile, Jake wandered down a dark hallway, his flashlight flickering. The deeper he went into the house, the more unsettled he became. He opened a door to what seemed to be a drawing room, but it was empty, except for an old piano in the corner. The air was stale, but as he stepped closer to the piano, he swore he heard a single, soft note play by itself. He froze, his heart pounding. "Hello?" he called out, but there was no answer, only the eerie silence of the house pressing in on him. At the same time, Olivia entered the library, where floor-to-ceiling shelves lined the walls, filled with dust-covered books. She moved carefully between the shelves, her footsteps muffled by the thick carpet. As she ran her fingers over the spines of the books, she heard a rustling sound, like the pages of a book being turned. Olivia's heart raced as she shone her flashlight around, but nothing was out of place. She swallowed hard and whispered, "Mia. Jake?" But the silence felt heavy, as if the house itself was listening. Mia, having reached the top floor, found herself drawn to the master bedroom. The door creaked as she opened it, revealing a room draped in heavy curtains, with an ancient, four-poster bed in the center. Her flashlight flickered again, and this time it went out completely, plunging her into darkness. "Mia?" Olivia's voice echoed faintly from downstairs, but Mia couldn't respond. She felt someone, was in the room with her. The air grew colder, and she could hear the faintest sound of breathing. Then, a hand, ice cold, brushed against her arm. Mia's scream echoed through the house, but by the time Jake and Olivia rushed upstairs, she was gone. They searched the room, calling her name, but Mia had vanished without a trace. Panic set in. Olivia, trembling, insisted they leave, but Jake was determined to find Mia. "She wouldn't just disappear," he said, though fear was clear in his voice. They rushed downstairs, hoping Mia had somehow found her way outside. But as they reached the front door, it slammed shut with a deafening bang. Jake pulled at the door with all his strength, but it wouldn't budge. Olivia backed away, her breath coming in short gasps. "We have to get out of here," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. Suddenly, they heard Mia's voice, faint, distant, calling from upstairs. "Jake? Olivia?" But the tone was off. It was her voice, but there was something cold, hollow about it. "Did you hear that?" Jake asked, turning toward the staircase. Olivia nodded, her body shaking with fear, but something inside her told her not to follow the voice. "It's not her," she whispered, but Jake didn't listen. He took off running back up the stairs, calling Mia's name. But as Olivia stood frozen in place, she heard the voice again, this time closer, whispering her name. She turned, slowly, and saw something moving in the shadows, something that wasn't human. The last thing Olivia saw before everything went black was a pair of cold, hollow eyes staring back at her from the darkness. The next morning, Black Hollow Manor stood quiet once again, the air still and undisturbed. No one in town ever saw Mia, Jake, or Olivia again. Their disappearance became just another story in the town's long history of eerie events, and the legend of Black Hollow Manor continued to grow. Some said the house was cursed, others claimed it was haunted by the spirits of those it had claimed. But one thing was certain, every 10 years, the house demanded new souls, and this Halloween, it had gotten what it wanted.